Kaitlin.
And I'm Jillian.
And we are the hosts of the OK Drama podcast.
We're two friends recap and break down K-dramas one episode at a time.
We're back.
Yay!
We are enjoying Romance as a Bonus Book so much.
So much.
We're going to talk about episodes 9 and 10 today.
Yes.
And I could not be more thrilled with where this is going.
I have a lot of thoughts in these last two episodes.
Same. Yeah. I can't wait to get into it. So, without further ado...
Episode 9. You are in charge of bringing up the synopsis and the titles. And you found out that there wasn't a title listed for episode 9.
On Wikipedia.
On the Wikipedia. So, we don't have a title.
Nope.
We'll come up with one for our pod, though, for this episode. It might be from episode
that would
9.
Be fun.
It might be episode... I don't know. We'll come up with something. But the synopsis says, Yoonho's reply thrusts Donnie into a daze, as it contradicts her memory of recent events, and she muses how a dog-eared book can suddenly seem new. Okay.
Again, not really. That's not really how the whole episode goes, but, you know, it's fine. Mm-hmm. Again, it's very artistic.
A dog-eared book.
Uh-huh. Cute.
So like a folded page.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get into it then. So episode 9 starts with Haerin at the cafe with Sojun, and it starts snowing, so both of them decide in that moment to text the person that they like, Sojun it being Donnie, and with Haerin it's Yoonho. And neither of them respond because they're currently outside looking at the snow together. So this makes both Haerin and Sojun a little bit bummed, but they don't really say anything. And they don't mention names of who the other person is. They don't know each other that well.
Yeah, because, again, we know that everyone knows each other, but they don't know.
Yeah, it's all kind of weird. She doesn't know he knows Donnie. Donnie doesn't know that he knows. It's all fucking weird and crazy. It's a mess.
It's a love rhombus.
Yeah. That's on our Instagram now. And then we see Yoonho talk about the author who said the moon is beautiful, which means I love you again. And he's basically telling Donnie, like, hey, I love you. And Donnie is starting to kind of understand fucking 9 episodes later. She's starting to get it. It's starting to click. And it's a little bit scary.
Like, we get little flashbacks of
moments and things. And her brain is finally starting to work in this department. Because it hasn't been, and it's been so fucking frustrating. Like, how do you not see this girl?
Yeah.
So she looks confused. She looks nervous. He tries to brush the snow off of her hair, and she kind of backs away. She's very nervous.
She, like, jukes him.
Yeah, it's cute, but again, I would be very nervous if I was Yoonho in that moment. And then she asks him if he likes her. And I know last time we talked, you were kind of like, well, I don't know if she's actually asking that or if it means something else. But no, she was actually asking.
Yeah.
Which was good. I wanted this to actually happen finally. The music starts swelling and he turns away and just walks back inside.
Yeah.
And I wasn't expecting that. It was super cool.
No. All of us started laughing. We were like, well, okay.
He stands there for a long time too, and it's just like, drum roll, what are you gonna say? What are you gonna say? And nothing.
Yeah. Like we were saying, like the music is going, you think like he's gonna have some really smooth response, because he does have really great lines. And then it's just like, oh, he's just walking away. That's what I would do.
Yeah, he got too scared. And we see that in the next scene when he pauses. And he almost looks like he saw a ghost because he kind of like jumps backwards and he's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, I almost got found out. I need to be careful.
So cute. So then Donnie comes in and starts getting after Yoonho for not answering her question. And they kind of like fall back into brother-sister mode here. And he says that it was weird of her to ask so bluntly and out of nowhere, which... Again, well, kind of, he kept saying, like, the moon is beautiful, the snow is beautiful, that means I love you, I love you. Yeah, you're beautiful, blah, blah, blah. So, it is a logical question to be like, do you like me?
Especially in her position where he, like, caressed her face.
Yes.
And almost kissed her. And, like, he didn't know she was actually awake during that moment. But,
yeah.
I mean, that's cause for questioning.
I mean, it's not out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But, again, I know he's being kind of, like, defensive.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, that was really weird of you to ask that question. It's not weird of me to not answer it. And then she says, why don't you just say no? Like, just tell me no so we can move past this. And he says, if you want me to say no, I will. Are we good? Like, fine, no, are you happy now, kind of a thing. But he doesn't actually answer her.
Yeah.
And so they start working on the book again, but Donnie is super distracted about thinking of how Yoonho touched her face. And so she's like, did that actually happen? So she starts thinking, like, well, maybe he didn't use his hand. He used, like, a pencil or an eraser.
Maybe he's trying to wake me up or something.
Yeah, and so you see her just, like, touching her, like, caressing her face with all these different, like,
with her eyes
office
closed.
supplies. Yeah, it's really weird. So after a while, he's kind of like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, whatever. So she tells him what she thinks happened. Like, it was weird because when I rested my eyes, like, I felt something on my face. And he makes fun of her and basically says, like, yeah, you fell asleep. You were snoring. On top of that, you had a dirty dream.
Playing it off.
Yeah.
Okay,
he played it off pretty well. But then they kind of start fighting again, but, like, playful fighting about whether or not he should like her. So Donnie says that it would be absurd. And Yoonho asks why she thinks that. Because, you know, he thinks that she should feel flattered because he's a great guy, he has a great job, blah, blah, blah. He basically starts, like, listing all the things that make him awesome. She's just kind of, like, taken aback this whole time.
Yeah.
And then he finally says, if I tell you I like you, will you go on a date with me? And then he tells her that he loves her and calls her beautiful. And it's, like, a really sweet moment. And it's, like, not super dramatic. It's very, like, matter-of-fact. Like, half joking, half serious. And then Donnie, like, so at this point, he's kind of holding her wrists. Because she was, like, trying to hit him. And then she headbutts him, which I thought was so funny. I wasn't expecting that at all.
I wasn't expecting that either.
And I said, like, I need to keep that move in mind for my
Your self-defense.
My self-defense arsenal. But, yeah. This is why I really like this show, because it has these, like, really romantic or dramatic moments, and then it, like, cuts them short, like, really fast. It brings you back to reality.
Yeah. Makes you laugh. It makes you feel a little bit better in certain situations.
Yeah.
After Haerin and Sojun split from the cafe where they both were looking at the snow and texting these people, they end up at the same art gallery. And they meet each other at a painting. They talk about how neither of them heard back from the person they texted. And they kind of just laugh with each other. And it's already, like, little tiny sparks flying between them. And honestly, I like them a lot better together, I think, than Sojun and Donnie.
Totally.
Personally.
Yeah. I think that's a common thought across the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had a couple of comments saying, like, I like the second, like, leads better together than, you know, the people that they're currently kind of paired up with. I think the actress that plays Haerin is really good at having chemistry with people, because, I mean, I've liked her with every character that she's been with. So, but yeah, I like seeing those two together more. And I like
two personalities.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
That next day at work, Miss So meets up with Donnie, and she's just like, hey, friend. Hey, friend. And they're just talking about going clubbing again because they finished the manuscript. She's telling her, like, we should go and celebrate. Like, you finished. Let's go. And then they start practicing their Gangnam Leopard dance moves that they had learned from her watching. And Donnie starts showing off her power dance moves and the power pose. And they're just being super cute and funny together. And I love their friendship. I'm glad that they very quickly became friends. And then they meet Miss Go as soon as they get out of the elevator. But she just pretends like them going out never happened. You know, these two girls are just super excited and being silly. And then they see her and she just kind of stares at them like, y'all are fucking stupid.
Yeah. And I think at some point she's like, after only hanging out one time, they're already best friends.
And I wonder, like, how much of that is her just kind of bullshitting and almost, like, wanting to participate in the fun, you know?
Yeah, I think
but not feeling like she can as, like, this fucking badass bitch in charge, you know? Like,
yeah. I bet part of it is that, like, she is very high up at work, and maybe she doesn't want to, like, compromise anything that she's worked so hard for, like, because of friends.
Yeah.
But also, I was thinking, like, well, her other friends totally suck.
Yeah.
So maybe she's like, why bother? Because they're just gonna suck.
Yeah.
Like my other quote-unquote friends.
My hope is that eventually she'll, like, show her real side in the office.
Yeah.
Like, her playful side and, like, the side nobody sees. And just, like, I want to see everybody freak out.
I want everyone in the office to know she's the Gangnam Leopard.
Yeah, I feel like that's going to come out one day.
It has to, right?
With Jiyul's big-ass mouth and Park Hoon's big-ass mouth.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It's going to happen. It has to.
True.
I
totally forgot they know that she's the Gangnam Leopard. Oh, my God. Yes, perfect.
It's exciting.
So, after the whole Miss Go thing happens, we see that Haydeen has received a new book that she's been working on. And everyone's really excited. So basically, like, they're passing out the final copies and people are flipping through the book. And then they notice that the author's bio, like, little section on the front cover is wrong. And so while we were watching on TV, the subtitles went really fast.
It was so frustrating.
Yeah.
Usually when we're watching, there's at least one time when I'm just like, what'd he say? What'd she say? Okay. Because it's just like, they start talking and nothing's coming up. And then something comes up for like half a second and disappears. And normally you're like, they said so-and-so. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But this time it was like every other fucking subtitle.
Yeah, it was really hard. I don't know if it was like the Roku app or what, but I watched on my phone at work. And
making that money.
And the subtitles worked fine on my phone. So this is kind of how I figured this section out. But it seems like what happened is the subtitles, or not the subtitles, the, like, author's bio section basically said he was the name of the university. So this is not what it actually was. But for example, it would say, like, Kaitlin Valentine was MIT from 2006 to 2013. And so you see later that it should have said so-and-so was a physicist studying at blah, blah, blah. So it basically, and one of the other girls says this, but basically the big thing was that it left out what his actual job was, that he's a physicist, because I guess the book is about the universe, so it gives him, like, more credentials.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's just, like, a grammatical error, and it just looks real dumb, basically.
From a publishing company.
Yeah. So after everyone sees the mistake, Haydeen gets chewed out in front of everyone by Miss Go.
Which is tough.
Yeah. And she immediately shoots daggers at Jiyul. And we get a little flashback seeing Haydeen asking Jiyul to proofread the author's bio and add more information to it that she can find. And then send it off to the, whatever, publishing, printer people, yeah. And so then another guy apologizes, saying that he also should have proofread what Jiyul sent to him before he sent it off. And then Yoonho adds that mistakes regarding the author's bio can't be taken lightly. And to make matters worse, the book is a hardcover, so it's impossible to just switch out the cover. So they either have to shred all of the books.
Which was 5,000.
Yeah, 5,000 copies. Yeah, they either have to shred all 5,000 copies and reprint them, which sounds really fucking expensive, especially with the hardback.
Yeah.
Or put stickers over the wrong section, correcting the mistake, which, as we'll see, looks slightly janky.
Yeah, because they're, like, hand done too.
Yeah.
It doesn't look terrible.
No.
But it doesn't look as, like, crisp and clean as, of course, they would want it to be, especially for a book like that.
Yeah, because everything else about it looks, like, really cool, and then you open it up and it's just like, bam.
Yeah, Andrew was sticker. Like, they couldn't have just gotten, like, a sticker the same color as the book.
I was thinking that, too.
I was like, I don't know, maybe it was cheaper to do a white than that cream color.
Also, because they basically got it the same day.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, God, what a mess.
Yeah.
Haydeen has like a nervous breakdown at this point, naturally.
Mm-hmm.
And she pulls out her box soju from her desk and starts chugging it. And Donnie is like, oh no, shit. And she's like holding like her hands in paper over her face to try to keep people from seeing. But everyone can see because she's being so dramatic about drinking it. And Donnie's hands are in the way now. So your eyes are just drawn to that direction. And then she kind of just gives up at that point. Everybody's seen the soju. It's out in the open now. They only see the one bottle or the one box. And then Haydeen tells Jill to meet her in the conference room and basically fucking gives her hell. And tells her, like, I wish you would just resign, get out of here. Like, you don't know what the fuck you're doing. But she can't force her to do that. So then she commands her to go to the warehouse and put those stickers on every book because they obviously can't afford to reprint 5,000 of them. And so while the two women are in the conference room, Yunho opens up her desk and he finds all of the fucking soju, which is a lot of boxes. Like,
yeah, it kind of looks like she went to Costco.
Yeah, and she looks like a major alcoholic with that much like, in her fucking work desk. Like, I could maybe understand, like, one hidden back there, you know?
Yeah,
like,
and when she pulled them out when her and Donnie, like, were having a celebratory drink, I was like, oh, well, I know some people, like, keep a small bottle of liquor for like celebration,
or just if you're having a really, really hard day or something, you take that one drink. But
it kind of looks like she stays late and gets
drunk at work and then goes to Yunho's.
Not a great look for her.
Yeah, Donnie tries to stop him from opening it, but when he finds her whole stash, he tells her to throw them out, and the rest of the office, like, y'all didn't see anything. Just pretend this didn't happen. Haydeen then makes the call to get the stickers, and the rest of the editing team asks why she's doing that. And she starts crying and says she can't let all of those books get shredded just because one word was missing. And that's kind of heartbreaking.
Yeah. Ugh. And I mean, I feel like she handled Miss Go's criticism pretty well, because Miss Go basically told Haydeen what Haydeen told to Jill. Not in exact terms, but she was basically like, do you want to quit your job? Like, do you not care about your work? And it's just like, oh, fuck. Yeah. Because Jill doesn't actually care about her work.
Haydeen does. And also, Miss Go said it in front of everybody, all of her colleagues, her superiors, the people that are under her. So it made her look really fucking dumb, and it wasn't good.
No, yeah. So after that whole mess, we cut to Sojun at a hospital, and he meets his mom for lunch, who seems to be some sort of caretaker lady. And Sojun tells her to take it easy since he doesn't want her to get sick again. And she tells him that the doctor says she's fine, but he says no one can ever fully recover from cancer. And I was like, what? Is that true? I mean, I know you can go into remission, but
I don't know.
It was just...
I'm sure, like,
that stuck with
me. Chemo and shit probably does, like, take a huge toll on your body. But, I mean, we've heard and seen people that, like, recover really well.
Yeah, and, I mean, I know, like, you have to keep checking in every so many years and stuff, but I don't know. It's just like, dang.
Maybe he's just being, like, super overprotective.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And... like, we know that he, like, kind of put his life on hold to take care of her and stuff. But anyway, she's like, don't worry about me. I like working here, whatever. And then he gives her a postcard of the painting that he saw with Haydeen, and then gives her some books. So we can kind of see that he's on good terms with his mom.
Yeah.
They have a good relationship, and she also likes reading and art. So good for her.
Yeah.
Then... we cut to Jill, God, who arrives at the warehouse, and she realizes that none of her credit cards work. She took a cab, so she has to pay for it cash, but she's like 30 cents short. So it's all really kind of heartbreaking, because you're like, oh God.
She's having a really bad day.
Yeah, and the cab driver is like pretty nice to her. I mean, yeah, like she's 300 won short, which I did the currency calculation or whatever, and it's like 27 cents or something like that. So it's not that big of a deal, but oh my God, she just is a hot mess right now. And so you see her cluelessly wandering around the warehouse, and a guy points her in the right direction of where all of the books are and the stickers and stuff. And so then she gives the guy her coat. Like, she's like, can you hang up my... She asks where she can hang up her coat. And he's like, I'll take it. And then he just puts it on the pallet, like, right next to it. And so she looks, like, taken aback, and then she puts her designer bag on top of her coat and says, stay safe, my baby. And then she gets a call from her mom. So she immediately goes into, like, whiny baby Jill mode.
Save me, Mom.
And she asks if she can quit, which is wild to me. Like, she's 27 years old. She's my age. And I'm a fully capable, I'm an almost fully capable grown-up. I wouldn't be asking my mom, like, I would maybe ask my mom for career advice, but I wouldn't be like, Mom, can I quit? Will you write my resignation letter for me?
I think it's because
it's wild.
Little Jill, like, her mom is rich.
And
her mom would be the one to take care of her versus, like, our moms who would be like, well,
figure it out.
Quit, what the fuck are you gonna do? You need a job, you need money. Like, they're not gonna fucking sugarcoat it. And they're certainly not gonna pay for everything for us, you know?
No. Yeah.
So for her, it's, like, completely different where her mom has always done everything.
Yeah.
And probably would have continued to had she not done this whole shenanigan with Parkoon.
So, basically, she asks her mom if she can quit. And her mom says, no, you can't, because... And I was thinking, like, oh, well, I didn't actually think that her mom wanted her to keep working, but she was like, no, you can't quit, not because, like, you need to work, but because if you quit, you won't be able to get married. And I'm like, these ladies. So, basically, her mom is like, yeah, if you quit, it'll show that you can't keep a job, and men like working women these days. So... Then Jill is like, okay, I'll keep working, but can you reinstate my cards? And then her mom hangs up on her. So she's not having a great day.
No, terrible day.
Yes.
Back at the office, Yoonho gets a call and announces to everyone that 2 of their books got additional offers. The editors get congratulated, and it's a super, super cute moment. Everybody's cheering. And they're like, hey, that's my book. I edited that. Ah.
Yeah.
It's really cute. And Yoonho also acknowledges Donnie in front of everyone for her great marketing strategy with, like, the PowerPoint thing. Because it caused an increase in sales, and everyone cheers for her. And even Miss Go kind of smiles and gives a look like, hey, she's
good
doing
job.
right.
Yeah.
It's cute. She didn't say anything, but you can tell in her eyes that she seems interested and intrigued in everything she's doing.
Yeah. And I think this is good because this kind of seems like the small steps that Donnie maybe should have been taking from the beginning instead of
jumping in.
Yeah. So I think that's maybe why Miss Go is kind of like, okay, small stuff that is good. Yeah.
She's not pushing other people to get somewhere. Donnie does her little power pose dance in the conference room. She's super excited. It's cute. Yoonho sees... And he kind of just gives a little smile. It's adorable. Oh, she's so cute. At that point, I think it's Miss Go, as usual, who tells her, like, hey, I need a gift for so-and-so's kid or some shit. And she tells her to go to the mall, and Donnie's like, what should I get? I don't know, figure it out.
Yeah.
So she goes to the mall and decides to buy Yoonho a shirt. Just like that jacket that one time. And then she runs into Yoonho, who is there buying jewelry. And they have this little intimate moment where he asks her, like, which of these necklaces do you think looks nicer? Which one do you like more? And she's like, well, who's the woman? Who's it for? I need to know, like, their personality and stuff. And he's kind of describing someone, and it sounds a hell of a lot like her. So she picks one. It's like a little X, and it has, like, a little... purplish pinkish diamond next to it. And he's like, okay, well, let me try it on you to see how it looks. And she's just very quiet. She looks very timid and nervous. And it's super cute. And then he takes it off and he's like paying for it, and she's kind of standing there. And then he looks at her and is like,
bye.
Okay, bye. See you. And then she kind of, I think, got thrown off at that point. Like, she thought it was for her, but then he's telling her bye. She's like, oh, okay, bye. It's really funny. While describing this mysterious woman who we all know is, in fact, Donnie, he says that she has a, drum roll please, small face. And that brings us to our Say What.
What you say? Well, I'm just asking. Say what? Come on.
Say what? We haven't done one in a while.
Yeah, we haven't done one at all for this series.
But I was thinking about it because the subtitles, again, went by pretty quickly. So he is basically describing a lot of attractive features about a woman, and then he includes a small face. And then I realized, oh, Jill probably doesn't know
I don't.
small face. So, one of the standards of beauty in Korea is having a small face. So, I read some articles, and basically the top 3 things that, I guess, people look for is small face, big eyes, and fair skin. And it's a compliment if someone says, you have a small face. Or I guess there's a saying, like, your face is the size of a fist. And so people will, like...
Oh my God.
Yeah. I think it doesn't translate really well, but yeah.
Interesting.
So sometimes, like, on variety shows or talk shows or whatever, like, the idols or actresses will come on and they're like, wow, you have such a small face. And they'll, like, hold household like objects up to their faces
Interesting.
just to see how small they are. And then I guess it was a thing where people were putting like CD-ROMs or like whatever CDs up to their face, and if the like disc covered most of your face, it was like
you have a small face.
Yeah. And so I was like trying to figure out like where this came from, and it kind of seems to me that, or again, from what I read, a lot of Korean people naturally have, like, rounder faces. And so it's, I think, one of those things, like, oh, you know, kind of what less people have is kind of seen as more attractive. So, like, well, most people have round faces, the ones that are kind of, like, more slim and, like, not long and ovally, but just, like, I don't know. That's kind of the more ideal. And so now there's, like, a really popular plastic surgery where people, like, get their faces shaved down so they have like a not as round face. So
yeah, I don't need to do that.
No. But it's a thing. So yeah, so now you know. If you ever go to Korea and someone says you have a small face,
they're not being mean.
No, they're actually complimenting you highly.
So do some people say like, wow, you have such big eyes, and that's like a compliment too, since that's something that I think attractive.
Maybe, yeah, like, because this sounds kind of, like, messed up, but I've heard, like, on Running Man and stuff, like, people are kind of, like, poke fun at some of the guys, like, oh my god, your eyes are so small. So,
oh my god.
And I think a lot of, like, Korean culture, like, they're very blunt about people's looks, and so, I don't know how personally people take it, but, like, they have no problem calling out people's flaws and stuff, and also, like, what looks good
or bad.
Yeah, so
interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
So
that's
that.
That's cool. Our first Say What of Romance is a bonus book. You heard it here.
We've learned a lot from Descendants of the Sun.
We did, yes.
So back at work, Donnie is like thinking about Yoonho, and she takes the shirt that she bought out of the bags for like the gift or whatever. And she puts it on her desk, and then Hayden sees that shirt when she goes to use Donnie's stapler. And so at this point, we're kind of wondering, like, will Donnie give Yoonho the shirt? And then will Hayden see Yoonho in that shirt and kind of connect the dots? It's kind of like a,
Yeah, we're all
waiting. A little nugget.
We're all waiting for those dots to be connected.
Yeah, for the shoe to drop. Like, I want fucking, like, explosions of realization happening where everyone's, I don't know. I just can't wait. I can't wait. So Hayden texts Sojun about signing his contract, and then Hayden goes to the break room where Donnie is, and Donnie's like, hey, look what I did. And pulls out, like, a box from underneath, like, a stool thing.
It's like a box of ramen, like,
yeah,
a whole bunch of them.
It's like a box of ramen, and then, like, as you keep pulling it back, there's all her soju. And so, Hayden's like, oh my god, thank you. Again, like, do you need that there? But anyway.
Probably not. I feel like somebody else is gonna find it.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think they should throw away perfectly good soju, but
take it home, maybe.
Yeah.
Instead.
So, they're kind of, like, small talking, and then Hayden the good little investigator that she is like, hey, so how was working with Yoonho, like, on the book? Like, how is his house? Blah, blah, blah. And Donnie is kind of, like, I think on edge, obviously, because, you know, she's pretty close to, like, getting to, you know, the fact that they live together without realizing it, I think. And so Donnie's like, I mean, it's fine, whatever. And so Hayden is like, so do you think someone else was there? Like, was there ever another person? And Donnie was like, no. And so Hayden is like, aha! So he lied to me. And yeah, it's just kind of, in that situation, I don't know what Donnie was supposed to do.
Yeah, I wouldn't know what to do. I mean, technically, she didn't lie. Nobody else was there. But she is that other person living there. Yeah,
and I mean, I don't think she knows that Yoonho told Haerin to stop coming over because he lives with someone now. So if she said, like, oh yeah, no, Yoonho is living with someone, then it would be like, I think she didn't know what version to tell her. So
yeah, because what everyone I think knows is that Yoonho lives alone. Because he's not going to admit that they live together.
Right.
But then Sojun knows that they live together, but they're just friends. Or like brother and sister. It's all fucking confusing.
Yeah.
It's a mess.
It's a lot.
It's a lot, and I can't wait for everything to get connected and make sense. And everybody knows everything.
Yes.
I'm waiting.
Same.
So, until then, we cut to Ji-Yool at the warehouse. And she's really fucking bad at putting stickers on books.
It's crazy.
They're just like, it's because she's so dramatic about it. When she's like holding in front of the book and she's just
like shaking.
Closing her eyes too while she's doing it. It's so bad. Just line it up with the edge of the book, girl. That's all you gotta do. But she can't even do that right, unfortunately. Her faces, though, are super great. She always looks cute. But, like, her expressions are really funny.
Yeah, this actress is really good at, like, face acting.
It's the same as when she was in that car scene with Park Hoon, where we first saw, like, how great her faces were. So she's basically doing that again. Then we cut back to the publishing company, and Donnie and Park Hoon are leaving the office at the same time. And they both realize that they're both going to see Ji-Yool. Park Hoon tells her, like, no, you don't have to go. I don't want you to go. And Donnie's just like, well, why? Like, 3 people working on it will make it finish quicker. Like, we'll get it done.
Yeah, and she says, if it's only you 2, you won't finish tonight.
Because they're idiots. And Park Hoon basically tells her, like, he wants to go because they're both single and it'll be fun and maybe something will happen. He's, like, doing things with his hands. Like, we'll get together. But, of course, Donnie is also an idiot when it comes to love and relationships and doesn't understand what he's saying.
It's shocking for someone that old, age, who's been married, that has a child.
Who's not understanding what he means by, like, hey, I'm single, she's single, I like her, she's pretty, I'm okay looking. But Park Hoon basically tricks her by telling her Miss Go left something for her because she did such a great job. And I guess she realizes that he lied to her, but then doesn't go to the warehouse after all.
Yeah.
So he goes to see Ji-Yool without her. And he runs up, and you can hear him, like, calling her name. He's screaming her name in the warehouse, and it's very dramatic. And she gives him a very dramatic greeting as well, and she's like, Parkour! It's so, like, long and exaggerated. They're so fucking goofy.
Yeah.
And he has, like, a bag of takeout, and he's like, I brought food. And she's more excited, of course, like me, to get fucking food and be eating because she was starving. And she gives him a hug. He gives her a little hug back.
And she's like,
And she kind of just, like, taps him afterward and is like, oh, food, okay, let's eat.
I feel like she treats him kind of like a puppy, almost like, oh, you're so cute, thank you for helping me out, but, like, don't lick me.
Yeah, bye. Go over there and stink. They're a very interesting pairing, but I do like them a lot.
Me too.
They're very funny.
Me too. So then Sojun and Haerin meet up to sign his contract, and she gets him to agree to work on 5 books with Koryo. And we can kind of start to see some chemistry between the two. The way she gets him to, like, agree to more books. And she's, like, very personable. Like, you would think that maybe she wouldn't be, like, she'd be a little bit more intense. Which I guess she is intense in this meeting. But it comes off as, like, a fun intensity. Yeah. Not, like, a scary intensity, like Miss Go.
Work for us. It's exciting. You'll have fun. Like,
yeah, she's very passionate. And they seem to suit each other really well because they both seem passionate and forward about their work and opinions and stuff.
And they're both in the book business.
Yeah. Yes. So then we see Donnie on her way home, but she lies to Yoonho since she isn't ready to face him yet. And so she's like, I'm still at the office, even though she's on the bus. And so, meanwhile, Yoonho is setting up the flowers and the necklace that he gave her as gifts or whatever. And then we cut back to Sojun and Hating.
Yeah, a lot of back and forth.
Yes. There. So you're kind of like seeing what each part of the rhombus is doing at this point. Which, side note, I was talking to Alex and I was like, basically we're talking about the use of rhombus and I was like, I still don't think rhombus is right. And then we realized, like, no, what we meant was quadrilateral. But it's fine. And I told Alex, I said quadrilateral, but you told me no.
You did say quadrilateral.
Thank you. That. And he was like, well, you shouldn't listen to me. Like, I'm not that smart. And I was like, I'm a woman who's been conditioned to listen to confident men. And then I said, fuck the patriarchy.
Is it a quadrilateral because...
I think a quadrilateral is just a shape with 4 points. I should look that up. And a rhombus...
Are they all equal, but we don't know, like, what their distance is, or...
No, I think...
This is a fucking... non-math people here talking about geometry and shit.
So, okay, we don't have to leave this in. But a quadrilateral is literally just a 4-sided figure. It can be in any sort of shape. It just has 4 points.
Gotcha.
So... If you want to look at, like, that's a quadrilateral.
Okay.
But I was
So we could have, like, Hating all the way over here and Donnie all the way over here.
Yes.
Or actually it would maybe be Sojun and then Yoonho, because they don't like each other at all.
Right.
So they're, like, the farthest away.
Which we did show that on the rhombus.
Yes.
And we had Donnie and Hating kind of close to each other because they're friends. So it all worked out, but I was, like... talking about the definition, and I was like, that's not the definition of a rhombus.
Yeah.
Anyway, not that any of that matters. But...
onward.
Yes. So, we're back with Sojun and Hating, and they decide to walk together since Yoonho and Sojun live in the same neighborhood, and Hating wanted to stop by Yoonho's house to give him the good news. So they stop at Yoonho's house right as Donnie is walking up, and she's able to hide behind Yoonho's car. And then once Hating goes inside, Sojun and Donnie take a walk. Because Sojun kind of sees her and kind of like covers for her.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was kind of a wild bit there.
When she, like, rings the bell and he can see her on the camera, he kind of looks annoyed. Because he set up this nice little gift for Donnie. He's excited to see her, you know. Like, she basically knows, like, he likes her now.
Yeah.
I think he's really trying to make this happen. And seeing Hating at the door, he's like, God damn it, man.
And, like, he told her not to come by unannounced anymore.
Yeah, this scene coming up is really uncomfortable for me.
Oh, okay.
It's just, it's weird. It's such a weird scene. Like, ugh. I don't know. Ugh. So she comes in and she's telling him the good news, like, I got Sojun to sign a contract for 5 books. This is great. But he's not enthusiastic about it because, again, he didn't want to see her. And she tries to talk to him about her coming over, but he tells her to take a book she left from his shelf. And when she takes it out, a letter from Yoonho falls out. And, like, while she's looking for the book, she's thinking, like, you still haven't read the letters that I wrote for you.
And she, like, sees the letters that she left
like,
behind.
pulls out one and, like, puts it back in right where she left it. And when she takes out this book, a red envelope falls out, and it's not from her, it's from him. And in the letter, he basically says that he's read every letter she's left for him, but pretended not to. He didn't want to put too much distance or confront her because her feelings for him are pure. And he wanted to be a good colleague and a friend to her, and he'll stand by her. And he hopes she'll find a good man that likes her and doesn't pretend. And it's a very, very nice letter.
It is.
And it's really nice that, like, he finally chose to tell her.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of leading her on, which is very smart of him, to not lead her on like that, or not make her, like, have hope when he's obviously not interested.
Yeah.
And she handles it well. Like, she's kind of crying while she's reading it, but then when she is talking to him, she's kind of holding back tears.
Mm-hmm.
And she tells him that she made up boyfriends so she could hang out with him, and says that his rejection letter is too nice. And they have a nice but sad moment, and then he gets a very mysterious phone call. Mm-hmm. But for me, it's like a very uncomfortable moment, because I'm just like, he already told you not to come, and that he's with someone, and that he's staying with someone. And to just listen to, like, your random colleague who's like, well, I didn't see anyone there. To take that as, like, oh, he lied to me. Like, I'm going to go over there and, like, fucking bother him now in the middle of the night. Like,
yeah.
Like, why are you still doing that? And then, like, reading the letters and seeing, like, oh, shit, like, he's known about this for a while now. Like,
Is there, like, internal cringe? Like,
yeah,
just or, like, what's the word?
You just want to crawl into a hole.
Just, like,
fucking die.
Implode onto yourself.
Yes. Ugh.
Yeah. It's funny. I don't know if I've just watched too many dramas, but that moment did not... I was like, yeah, par for the course.
Yeah. I think I get bothered more so, like, later, too, with her reaction to certain things after the fact. Because he wasn't mean about it in the letter. Like, he couldn't have been nicer about it.
Yeah.
And it's just honestly, like, he doesn't think of her that way. Mm-hmm. And that's it, you know? He doesn't think she's ugly. He doesn't think she's annoying. He's just not interested in her.
Like, he even calls out, like, the fact that she's smart and that she's beautiful and that she'll
And he can't wait for her to find somebody who's going to love her the way she deserves.
Yes.
Which he can't do. Which I thought was very, like, nicely written. Really well put. But her reaction, like, in the next episode is... I don't know. It's crazy. Yeah, we'll get to it, but, like, she makes certain comments from, like, girl, okay?
Yeah, it's rough. But, I mean, if this is the guy she's been in love with for 3 years or whatever.
That's true.
I mean, but like you said, I can't think of a better way to be rejected. So, onwards.
Onward, yes.
So, while Haedin and Yoon-ho are figuring things out, Donnie is eating with Sojun, but she's not actually eating. She's just kind of, like, playing with her noodles, and she's really out of it. And so after some encouragement from Sojun, she opens up by talking about her feelings through a book metaphor. So she describes her feelings about Yoon-ho as if he was one of her favorite books that she's read many times. And obviously she doesn't say this to Sojun. She just says, like, there's a book, blah, blah, blah. And she says that throughout her life, she's always gone back to this book, and it's comforted her when she's felt alone, and it's been with her when she's the happiest, and whatever. All this stuff about how this book has always been there for her. But now that she's rereading it again, she feels confused, and there are new parts of it that she feels like she's never read, and it kind of feels like she's reading a new book. And so this has kind of gotten her shaken up. And Sojun tells her that it's not the book that has changed, it's the reader, and that good books touch us differently at different points in our lives, which I thought was nice. And so Donnie's kind of
he
like...
probably wouldn't have said that if he knew she was actually talking about.
He would have been like, yeah, the book fucking sucks, right?
Dump that book.
No, donate it.
Shred it.
Take it to the shredder. Sell the paper. So this kind of has Donnie thinking. And then we cut to Yoon-ho, and he seems very distraught, and he is driving, he keeps getting these calls, and he barges in at this, like, really nice house, and he sees a guy there, and this guy tells Yoon-ho that someone just fell asleep, but he has wounds from a fall. And so at this point, we don't know who anyone is. And then we see an older man who looks pretty beat up and is tied to a bed. And Yoonho sees him and he starts to cry. And he unties him and bam, end of episode. It's a very jarring.
Very strange last few minutes.
Yeah. The whole being tied up thing is confusing. And I was telling Jill this while we were watching it, but I've seen in other dramas where people have been, like, tied to beds before because of, like, not necessarily dementia, but if you're kind of out of your mind, it's kind of like a straitjacket situation. Yeah. Or, like, being handcuffed to a bed. But instead they just used ropes, which looks a little bit more
Yeah. And cruel. I get that. And I've seen, like, shows and things here where people are tied up, but, like, normally it's like a padded thing.
Yeah,
or like
just a rope.
A fabric, you know, so it's not going to hurt you as much. Because it's like fucking cutting into his wrists and his ankles. Yeah. Like, that looks so painful for somebody that already fucking fell. It got hurt. Like, he's got cuts all over his body. Yeah. And now he's getting his wrists and legs cut. Like, you couldn't put some fabric in there? Just something to make it a little comfortable? Oh, I don't know.
It's troubling. Episode 9 was a real roller coaster.
Yeah, a lot happening. Episode 10 has a lot too.
Yes.
We'll just go ahead and jump on in.
So, episode 10, the Netflix synopsis is, Donnie's confusion becomes worry when Yoonho doesn't answer her texts or come home. When he doesn't appear at the office, she's at a loss for what to do.
Mm-hmm. I would be too.
Yeah. I feel like that was pretty good.
There's definitely a lot more that happens in this episode than just him disappearing, because he's only gone for a small portion of the...
For, like, the first third, maybe?
Yeah.
Because, that's true. A lot of stuff does happen afterwards. I would like to throw in Donnie, Yoonho, Hae-rin, and Sojun have an interesting dinner.
Yes, yeah, agreed. Very interesting.
So, episode 10 starts with Sojun and Donnie walking home from their dinner, and Donnie is still really distracted, and at this point she's like walking a few paces ahead of Sojun, just kind of like lost in her own thoughts.
Yeah.
And he's just falling behind her. And so she's thinking about how Sojun told her that it was her who had changed, not the book, meaning Yoonho. And so they get to the house, and Donnie wonders aloud whether or not Hae-rin is still there. And Sojun replies that she's probably not, and Donnie's like, oh, what the fuck? You're still here? And Sojun points out that Yoonho's car is gone, so they're probably both not there anymore. And she's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. That's weird, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And so then Sojun gives her a high five, which I thought was kind of weird. Like, good night, high five, and then he, like, clasps her hand or
I don't
whatever.
know who said it, if it was Andrew or Alex, somebody was like, that's not a high five.
I think it was Andrew. So, yeah, it's kind of weird. I don't feel that... I feel like Donnie and Sojun have more of a brother-sister relationship kind of a thing going. Like, she's friend-zoning him pretty quickly.
Yeah, especially right now that...
Yeah.
After Yoonho has told her stuff.
Yeah.
They say their goodbyes. Donnie goes into Yoonho's room, but he's not there. And she starts to leave the shirt she bought him. But then she overthinks it and remembers earlier when Yoonho was questioning, why did you buy me that jacket? Like, think about it. What does that mean? So she decides to not leave it. She takes it back. Hae-rin at this point is at her parents' dumpling restaurant. So they sit down to eat the ugly, overcooked dumplings together. But then Hae-rin suddenly starts to cry, and they're like, the fuck? What's wrong with her? And she starts telling them, like, basically he, quote-unquote, dumped her. But he didn't, because they were never dating, technically.
Yeah, I think sometimes in the dramas, they use, like, he dumped me as he rejected me, or, like, he told me he didn't want to be with me. But yeah, it's kind of, I don't know, I think it's funny. I mean, I know you're going to get to it, but the way her parents react, given, like, a few episodes ago, they were like, you need to stop wasting your time with this guy.
It's fucking weird. I don't understand these parents at all. But basically, she's complaining about how he doesn't want to be with her and, like, the letter and stuff. And the mom is like, he said that to my daughter, blah, blah, blah. She, like, stands up and she's screaming about him and bad-mouthing him and going on and on and on.
I give him so much kimchi.
Yeah. And then she starts crying, and the dad starts crying, and everyone's crying. And right before all that happened, Hayden was just like trash talking their dumplings and being like, you keep giving me the fucked up, overcooked dumplings. Like, I don't want this shit, is basically what she was saying. And then when they're all crying and upset, she starts like eating the dumplings, like shoveling them into her mouth. Yeah. She's like, they're not that bad. It's so weird. It's such an unusual scene, but it's really funny. It's cute. It's sweet. But like a little all over the place again, considering previous episodes. Like in one episode, they seemed in love with him. The next time we saw him, they were just like, whatever, get over it, find someone else. And then in this one, upset again.
I kind of feel like they were maybe being like dramatic to support her. You know what I mean? Because she says that she's an only child. So I know with my mom, since I'm an only child with my mom, like my mom is very like on my side a lot of times. So maybe that's kind of what they're doing. And her complaining about the dumplings was like, my life sucks. Like, I never get what I want kind of a thing.
Maybe in the past episode, they were basically saying, like, find you someone better that actually likes you. But then now hearing, like, oh, he doesn't like me, he doesn't want to be with me, that upset them. Like, how could you not want to be with our beautiful daughter? Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know if I read it wrong, but I kind of read it as, like, they're just kind of being, like, overly dramatic to support her. Not that they actually think, like, this guy fucking sucks. Yeah. But I liked I liked the line where I think her dad says, like, the only thing good about him is that he's tall, or the only thing special about him, or something like that. And then her mom goes, Hayden is tall too! So, yeah, I mean, it was kind of, like you said, all over the place, but I liked seeing Hayden with her parents. They have a kind of funny thing going on.
Not enough parents in this show.
No, but I don't want to see Donnie's kid. I don't want to see her being a parent.
No, yeah, not interested in that one.
Sorry.
Donnie goes into her room and sees the gifts Yoonho left for her, which was the flowers and the necklace. And she's wondering at this point, like, where did you go and what were you thinking? Why did you buy this for me? Why is this here? And I'll let you take care of the next scene. It's an uncomfortable scene.
Yeah. So then we see Yoonho, because, okay, so it's like, Donnie's like, I wonder where Yoonho is. And then we see where Yoonho is. He is cleaning up this older man who we still don't know who he is. I'm kind of assuming it's that mysterious author guy. But...
which is his dad.
Which he called his dad.
That's true.
We don't know that it's actually his dad, though.
So I thought his dad died.
Right.
And that's what he was talking about with Donnie's dad.
With helping. An inheritance and stuff. Yeah. I mean, yeah, there are a lot of questions that need to be answered. So there's this guy, the guy that fell, Yoonho's taking care of him. And throughout all of this, Donnie keeps texting him, but he's not replying. And so she's asking him where he is, why he's confusing her, and tells him to come home. Meanwhile, Ji-yool and Park-hoon are waiting at a bus stop since Ji-yool has no money for a cab. And Ji-yool runs onto the bus as soon as it gets there, and Park-hoon has to pay for both of them. And she's kind of like looking around the bus like, wow, is there usually this many people on an early bus? And he's like, yeah, like, people have to work. Or he says something along the lines of, like, it's not easy out there, kind of like, sometimes people have to work, you know, multiple jobs, or they don't have, like, comfortable lifestyles.
Like someone.
Yeah, and I think this is, like, another, like, mini eye-opening experience for Ji-yool, because I think when you live that, like, sheltered and comfortable your whole life, there wouldn't be a reason for her to know that people had to live like that. So I like how Park-hoon kind of brings Ji-yool down to earth a little bit.
And also just her job in general. Like, she's learning a lot about fucking learning.
Yeah.
And figuring things out.
I bet Ji-yool's mom is the type that would, like, do her homework for her.
Oh, I'm sure. Or hire someone. Get her assistant to do it.
Yes. So then the next day at work, Yoonho still isn't there. He's still at the older
I would be concerned
house.
At that point.
I know. Yeah.
The person that I'm talking to every single day, having dinner with, and, like, living with, has suddenly fucking gone MIA.
Yeah, later on in the episode, Donnie's like, hey, it's been 3 days. Should I file a police report? And I'm like, yes, bitch, I would file a police report if I heard from Alex in, like, 9 hours or something. Like, what the fuck, 3 days? But it hasn't been that long at this point in the episode. Yoonho still isn't there. He's still at the older guy's house. And we're at the older guy's house. And another old man is there, and he tells Yoonho that his friend would be proud that he's there and that he taught him. So that kind of leads me to believe that, like, it's some sort of mentor or professor or something. And he tells Yoonho that he's a better man than the guy's children. And so this isn't the first time that it's happened, and it's a very confusing part. I don't know if I like this. I mean, I'm sure it'll turn out fine, but I'm like, what's going on?
What does this have to do with anything?
Yeah, I don't want to see this old guy tied up. Like, sorry. Yeah, it's hard. And I like the fluff of seeing all of these, like, very attractive, well-dressed people.
Eating ramen, living their life.
Totally. So, Yoonho keeps sitting with the guy, and Donnie keeps texting. Like, that's just kind of, as the Netflix synopsis said, that's just kind of the whole thing. Yoonho's gone, Donnie's texting him. This is basically all we're getting.
Yeah. Mr. Bong and Donnie see that Yoonho officially took a day off, and Mr. Kim came in to add to the agenda and then left to be with him. And then we see Mr. Kim with Yoonho at the man's house. He tells him that the man is probably sleeping because Yoonho is at his side, so he feels safe. But back in the office, Miss So announces that they'll go ahead and start their staff meeting soon, and everyone realizes that Park-hoon and Ji-yool haven't made it to work yet. And so there's, like, a big thing of, like, oh, where are they? Like, what are these people doing? Blah, blah, blah. And then we see Mr. Bong and Miss So suggest that they probably spent all night at the warehouse, took the first bus, and stayed at a sauna to get some sleep. And everyone was like, ooh, is that what you guys did?
Like,
And Mr. Bong's face while he's recounting everything with Miss So is really cute.
Yeah.
And part of me is like, okay, little sparks.
Get back together.
Little teeny tiny itty bitty sparks.
Yeah.
It's going like pew pew.
Pew pew. Pew pew.
Very, very quiet right now. But we'll see. We'll see what happens later. As they work their way into the conference, though, they realize that Park-hoon and Ji-yool have actually been there the whole time, and they're asleep on top of the conference table, which is so ridiculous, so absurd, but so incredibly funny. And nobody knows what to do, and Miss Go is just like, what the fuck, we're gonna have our meeting. We're supposed to have a meeting, so let's do it. And so they sit down around the table as they're sleeping on the table. And it's a funny scene because everyone's congratulating Hae-rin for getting Sojun to sign a contract for not $3, but for $5. So everyone starts cheering, and they're like banging the table and like clapping really loud above them or dropping things on the table. Try to wake them up, and it's not really working. Miss Go does look happy, and the marketing team announces plans for a book event. So everyone's just having a good time in this little meeting. They probably didn't need to have it in the conference room. It could have just been around their computer desk area.
Yeah.
But this was funny to, like, get these people awake.
It was a very good visual, just seeing, like, these two people on top of a table.
With all these people doing, like, a business meeting.
Yeah.
After the meeting, Park-hoon and Ji-yool wake up, and they tease each other. And Donnie suggests that they get an acoustic guitarist for the book event, so it's like an intimate concert, to Miss So. She agrees and thinks it's a really good idea. And the two of them just keep calling each other friend, which is nice. I like hearing that. Miss Go overhears and gets a little bit jealous and is depressed in her office. So I think she needs another night out.
Yes.
As the Gangnam Leopard.
Yeah.
With her girls.
It doesn't need to be every third Friday. You can go out more often.
No.
And you don't have to
well feel like.
You don't have to get all Gangnam Leopard. You can just hang out with some friends.
Yeah. But mini Gangnam.
Yeah. Like a little cub.
Yeah.
A leopard cub.
That. I like that, yeah.
So, we're back with Yoonho, who is still with the older man.
Maybe it was longer than I thought. Yeah, like blocked those scenes out.
Well,
How many times it
because
happens?
nothing happens. We just see him with the old guy.
We just see him like cleaning his wounds and
clipping his nails.
Yeah.
Like, so remember how I said people clean a lot in the K-dramas? I've seen scenes like this too, where I'm like, I don't actually want to watch you give someone a bath. Like, you can just tell me you did that. Which I know it's like, show, don't tell, but like...
Or like the after effect, like, with the towel.
Yeah.
Putting something away, or putting nail clippers away. I don't know.
Yeah. But anyway. So, Donnie's still worried and texting him. And we're back with Donnie and Sojun, and this is where she tells him that Yoonho hasn't been home for 3 days.
Is he dead?
Crazy. And Donnie's like, do you have a friend who's like works for the police? And I'm like, you don't need to have an inside connection. You can just go to the fucking police and say, hey, my roommate who I work with hasn't been home and I have not heard from him in 3 days.
And this is not like him.
Yes, this is a big fucking deal. Like, that, I think I just like, you know, we like to listen or watch murder shows, and I listen to My Favorite Murder, and you hear like, well, they didn't report her missing for whatever. And oftentimes when they don't report people missing, it's because like, oh, that person is single and works from home.
Yeah.
So no one would think to like report her missing. But I'm like, this guy has a ton of friends.
Nobody thinks it's weird.
Yeah, it's just
People
shocking.
in the office were kind of talking shit though. And they were like, gets special treatment.
Oh, yeah.
And Mr. Kim, like, lets him do whatever.
Because his books make a lot of money.
They were all talking shit.
I'm like, well, maybe your book should make more money.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, I mean, I guess, I don't know. It's just shocking to me.
Agreed.
But anyway, Donnie realizes that Sojun is crying while reading one of their books. And she kind of teases him, and I'm like, I kind of thought it was funny and cute, because Sojun's like, what's wrong with a man crying? But I also didn't like that Donnie was like, you shouldn't be crying, you're a man.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, Sojun's right, let men cry. There's a lot of issues because men have all these pent-up feelings.
It's because she's older.
Oh, yeah.
She's not from the times where we're like, love who you want.
Yes.
Cry if you want.
Maybe Donnie's ex-husband should have cried more.
Yeah.
Maybe he wouldn't be such a fucking prick. I don't know. But anyway, she starts thinking about Yoonho again. And again, we see him with this old man. Jesus. And Donnie is still texting him. I don't know how many times I wrote that. But on her way home, she asks him to at least send an exclamation mark so that she knows he's alive. And so he finally responds with the little exclamation.
He could have just said hey earlier.
Or like the thumbs up emoji.
Yeah, just like, hey, I'm out for a while, don't worry.
Yeah. Or I have something I need to take care of. I'll be in touch.
Yeah. How fucking hard is that?
No, it's
Come on. Like, I know you're having a thing right now, but there are people that care about you. It's kind of fucked up.
I know. And, like, this is kind of a trope in a lot of TV shows, not just Korean dramas, but it's like, these people supposedly love this other person, and, like, well, maybe I just overshare, but, like, I fucking tell Alex everything about my whole goddamn life. Like, I'm going to the grocery store. I'm going to the gas. Like, we always know where each other are.
Same way.
And it's just crazy to me that Yoonho wouldn't think to share this with Donnie, the woman who he supposedly loves / is his family / is at the very least his roommate. But anyway. So he finally responds, and whatever exclamation point, and he kind of teases her like, wow, you must have really missed me. And he says that he'll come home if she admits that she missed him. So then we see Donnie running home, which you said was not a good look for her while watching, because she's wearing like all these really billowy clothes.
Yeah, her outfit isn't cute here.
No.
Is that when she's wearing like the blue sweater?
And the pink shirt,
pink collar,
and the wide leg pants.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
It's not a good look. It's My least favorite look that I've seen on this show, I think.
Mm-hmm. So, she's running home, and when she gets there, she sees that Yoonho is sick in bed. So she starts taking care of him and asks about where he's been. And he doesn't really answer, and he just asks her to stay with him and hold his hand while he goes back to sleep. Which is kind of cute.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like it when characters are sick and things, because it, like, forces the other character to take care of them.
Be nice.
Yeah. But it's funny, in Suspicious Partner, the main girl says that she wishes she weren't so strong because she never gets sick, so no one ever has to take care of her. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. I liked that observation from that show. But anyway.
Donnie makes Yoonho soup. And while they're eating, Yoonho asks Donnie if she likes the necklace, and she asks why he said he didn't like her. And he tells her he thought she'd be better off not knowing. So they get to this whole thing of, like, when did you start to like me? When did you know, or whatever? And his response is something along the lines of, he doesn't know and she should guess. Like, from spring to summer, summer to fall, do you know when the seasons change? I don't know when my feelings started to grow.
That was
a writer.
Line,
That's a
yeah.
writer. He's got a way with words.
Mm-hmm.
So she looks really uncertain about everything and a little confused, and her eyes are kind of tearing up. And I think she's a little bit worried about her friendship and what's about to happen. And she's asking, like, why he didn't keep it to himself. And he basically tells her, like, I couldn't when you kept asking me and, like, basically had me against a wall. Like, what was I supposed to say? And then he tells her, like, don't worry about it, though. I'm not going to do anything. Everything's going to stay the same. And I bought you gifts in the past, and you always accepted. So I bought you this gift because I thought you would like it. So just take it. It's not a big deal. And you can do what you want. You can date Sojun. I'm not going to do anything. Like, nothing's going to change. And she asks what he's going to do. And he's like, well, I'll just continue to do my thing. Like, I never suffered or I was lonely because of you. I worked, wrote books. I even dated. So everything just stays the same. Which is sweet. But also, like, we've seen his internal battle.
Yeah.
With his feelings for her and how much that hurts him.
I kind of feel like this is cool guy Sojun or not Sojun, Yoonho talking.
Yeah.
Like, it's all very irrational, but at the same time, we see him being like, Sojun fucking sucks. Like, he's a fucking liar.
He's so annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think what he's saying in this whole section is the very best thing he could say.
Yeah.
He's not being whiny. He's not being clingy or annoying or anything.
Or, like pressuring her.
Yeah. He's respecting her feelings and basically saying, like, no matter what, it's going to be the same and I'm going to be your friend and I'll buy you things. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Which I think...
I mean, that's like a win-win.
Yeah. I think is great. But maybe we have cool guy Yoonho speaking because he kind of has a fever.
He's like a fever dream.
He's not really thinking about what he's saying. He's just kind of talking.
Yeah.
Because I feel like real Yoonho would be a little bit nervous. I don't know. Who knows?
No, I like that because, yeah, when you are sick, sometimes you're just like, you speak the truth.
And you're like, fuck it, whatever. I'm going to talk.
Unfiltered.
Yeah. He goes back to bed at this point and is just like, I'm going to go to sleep. Can you clean this for me? Like, she's a maid, which I thought was really funny. Donnie cries a little bit and asks herself, like, why does he like me out of all the other women there is? Why me? Like, oh, because you're cute.
Yeah, Donnie. He's a catch.
And that's Lumen, who never cries.
Lou. After all that, Yoonho answers a call from Hating, who is drinking by herself. She calls him a bastard because he answered her call since he's made it clear that she's only his colleague. And apparently he never used to answer her calls when she would call after hours. And so now that he's finally made it clear, he's finally answering. And he asks where she is, if she's been drinking, and if she's alone. And he tells her to find someone to console her, that she should focus on work. And she replies that she's a great woman and no one knows about her personal life and she's been working, like, really well. So basically, she's kind of, like, fuck you, I've kind of got my life together, don't worry about it, but I can still call you and call you a bastard, because you are one. So, throughout this whole conversation, Sojun has been standing outside of the restaurant with Goombi. Shout out to Goombi.
Yay.
And he's kind of, like, been watching her go through all of this. And after a while, she's like, oh, fuck, and sees him, and she kind of tries to hide. And he calls her and is like, hey, do you need a friend? And she's like, no, go away. And he's like, well, you're crying in my neighborhood. And he was like, can't I cry anywhere? Like, am I not allowed to cry in this neighborhood? So she's like super sassy and basically says like, we don't need to hang out because I'm going to see you tomorrow. So just leave. So after he's like, okay, whatever. And then he texts her and says like, hey, if you ever need someone to talk to, I'm free. And I'm like, yee. Okay, let's do this. After all that, Donnie is like kind of looking at the necklace again, and she goes to check on Yoonho, and she kind of tucks him in. So I think we're kind of like, okay, maybe she's not as worked up as she once was. Like, she's come to a place of acceptance at this point. So the next day at work, everyone gets a copy of the book that needed stickers, and it's a little sad.
Yeah, like we talked about earlier. It doesn't look terrible.
It's just, it doesn't look super professional.
For that type of book.
Yeah. And Hayden goes to yell at Jiyul, and I think it's really funny that Mr. Bong says that he's glad he's Hayden's senior colleague. Because she's scary. Like, the way she, like, slams her blazer down and shit. It's intense. But anyway, Donnie, there's a little part where Mr. Bong gets a paper cut and Donnie gives him a Band-Aid, which will be referenced later in the episode.
And she makes a point to say, like, just let me know anytime you need one. Like, my heels are always hurting and I always carry Band-Aids.
Yeah.
Hayden then tells Jiyul that only decent products should be given to customers. She explains about her parents and the overcooked dumplings and how they never give them to customers. And even though she worked her ass off for over a year, even on weekends to get this done, they still have to send this book out in a terrible state. And it's because of Jiyul. Yoonho comes in and interrupts them, and he tells Hayden to prepare for the meeting with Sojun. And then he has a little talk with Jiyul. And he's a lot better at kind of telling her like it is and what's expected. And he's basically saying, like, you know, there are so many people that would love to have the job that you have. There's so many people that love making books and they want to put out the very best work that they can. And you have that job. And a lot of people, like, they work really hard to make these books come to life, and it can all be ruined by a simple mistake, even just one little word. And we all make those mistakes, but we also feel ashamed by them. And, like, not upset or, like, it's unfair. But he tells her, like, I need you to read these books and I need you to summarize them. And it's a long-ass list and she looks like, what? But then she starts reading them and they're all books on what her job is, basically. So he's basically telling her, like, you need to learn these things. So read up on this, summarize them, get to know them, understand what you are doing here, and figure out if you want to be here. At that point, we kind of cut to Jiyul sitting at her desk looking through one of the books, and she starts paying attention and sees all the little decisions that are being made around her, where I think normally she's maybe like thinking about food or what she wants to do that night or what movie she wants to go to. But she's saying like how the directors need to work to fix her mistake. People are deciding on color choices for book covers, just little edits and things. She's overhearing little things here and there. And then we get a subtle nod of Miss Ghost sticking up for Hayden, who obviously, as we all know, worked really, really hard on the book. It's a really nice, eye-opening moment, I think, for Jiyul.
And for us, I think.
Yeah.
Because, like, oh shit, they're making a lot of little choices. So... But yeah, I really liked how Miss Goat stuck up for Hayden because she's one of those that seems like she's really scary to you in person, but like she'll stand by you. Yeah. So as your superior and someone who works for her company. Yeah. So Park Hoon and another marketing guy go to a bookstore and they talk to an employee and they get their book featured in a more prominent spot of the bookstore. I think it's just kind of like a little funny blip.
Yeah.
So we can get some more Park Hoon screen time.
Yes.
Then Sojun comes to the office and brings coffee for everyone. And everyone is really surprised when he tells them that he knows Donnie and leaves a coffee specifically for her. And Yoonho looks really annoyed to Steve.
And he even says, like, he's so annoying.
Yeah.
Under his breath, just whispering it.
I love Yoonho. I love his annoyed face. Like, I don't know. It's a cute face. So then Donnie meets with the guitarist. It's kind of boring. They talk about him.
It's such a brief moment.
Yeah. I think it's basically just like Donnie isn't there when Sojun gets there. They just needed that little thing. So then Haerin, Yoonho, and Sojun meet about the cover, and I really liked this scene.
It's a good scene.
So Sojun is a little cocky and pretentious in the meeting, which pisses off Haerin. And everyone outside of the meeting starts gossiping with Donnie about how she knows Sojun. And like when she gets back to the office. And then one of the other guys says that he heard that Sojun is terrible to work with from one of his friends who works at another company. Apparently they called him Mr. Pretentious, and he thinks Haerin is going to be tired after the meeting. So Donnie kind of says to herself, but like just so everyone can hear also, like, he's not like that. And so then they're all like, oh, how is he not like that?
What's
like,
he like?
All of these people.
I love Park Hoon's face.
And Miss So is kind of like, All of those people are mean, but like I keep it inside. And I'm just like,
your ear just turns.
Yeah, my cat ear. So back inside the meeting, Sojun says that Haerin's ideas are boring, and he wants Oriental paintings to be the inspiration for the cover of the book. And this is like shocking to Yoonho and Haerin because they're like, what?
Oriental?
Yeah. So Yoonho has to keep mediating between the arguments that are happening between Haerin and Sojun, because they're both very passionate and they're like willing to fight, which is really intense and not my style at all. So then they start doing that thing where they're talking about each other as if they're not there to Yoonho. Like, Haerin's like, well, you know, our client or whatever, like, this book designer is really hard to work with, and I think he shouldn't be so pretentious and blah, blah, blah. And then Sojun kind of says the same thing about Haerin. Like, this editor has a really bad temper, and I'm wondering if there's another editor I can work with. So, as that's happening, Sojun kind of teases the fact that he has examples, and so he hands them to Yoonho, and Yoonho looks, like, pretty impressed. So then Haerin is like, and she goes and pulls the, like, little portfolio thing out of Yoonho's hands, and she's, like, immediately engaged and is, like, excited again. And so she, like, sits down next to Sojun, and they start talking, and they're, like, both really excited.
And she's not afraid to say, like, well, you won me over, and, like, your idea was good.
Yeah.
So it's fine.
Yeah, she's, like...
I'm willing to, like, turn around and admit that or whatever.
Yeah, she's like, I just want you to know that my idea was not wrong. Yours was just better. So let's get that clear. And then we kind of see Yoonho looking happy that they're hitting it off.
Yeah.
So I'm happy for Yoonho too. Like, everyone seems to be...
Everyone's good right now.
Yeah.
After the meeting, Sojun talks to Donnie and invites her to dinner. But at that point, Yoonho is walking out with Haerin, and he interrupts to ask Sojun to have dinner with him and Haerin. And I think he knew, like, he's going to ask her out, and I want that to happen. And then Sojun is like, well, I actually invited Donnie to go to dinner with me. And it's kind of awkward and quiet, and Haerin's like, well, why don't we all go? And you can tell that Yoonho is just, like, physically annoyed. He's got that look like, oh, man. So they all go, and Sojun takes him to the restaurant where he took Donnie. And it's the place where you can cook for yourself. And he makes the food he thinks Donnie will like based on their previous dates, which we already talked about kind of being annoying.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So there he is again with the broth and the noodles and the sake. What else did he have again?
I think that was basically
There's something else, but
he
didn't name it. And Donnie looks happy, but kind of uncomfortable too. Haerin looks the most excited. They had a good meeting. She's eating food now. She's having dinner with Yoonho, which maybe to her seems like he invited this to happen to be with her. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if she thinks that, because she kind of keeps giving him, like,
yeah,
the evil eye. Like,
she's definitely still angry with him and making mean comments, which is funny.
Yeah.
So that's all happening. And then Hayden brings up, like, how chummy Sojun, keep forgetting his name, seems to be with Donnie. And she's like, are you two, like what's happening? And he kind of says, while he's, like, cooking and preparing stuff, like, nothing yet. I have a crush on her. Mm-hmm. And Hayden seems very, very excited about it. Donnie kind of looks like, yeah. And Yoonho, of course, we all know how he looks.
Yeah. I love his annoyed face.
Yeah. And then they talk about how he texted Donnie when it snowed, and he asked what happened to the person she texted, because they both talked about how they didn't hear back from those people. And he was like, yeah, I was texting Donnie, but she didn't answer me. Who were you texting, and what happened with that person? And in an annoyed tone, she says something along the lines of, like, he doesn't text back. Mm-hmm. She kind of looks at Yoonho at that point. And Yoonho's just ignoring it, just whatever. Like, he already knows what he's in for. Mm-hmm. Donnie is still thinking about Yoonho while this is all going on. And then at some point, Sojun cuts himself while he's making the food, which hopefully it didn't get in the food.
No.
But
bloody noodles.
Donnie is like, are you okay? And Hayden is the one that rushes over and tries to take care of him. And Sojun's like, no, it's fine. It was just a little cut. And Donnie's kind of just looking at the situation and assessing it, but she's obviously somewhere else. And at that point, Yoonho remembers, like, hey, she has Band-Aids in her purse. Why isn't she giving him one? Mm-hmm. And then he suddenly gets very excited. Like, she's not giving him a Band-Aid.
Just like the little things he's clinging on
it's
to.
so funny. I love it. They have their meal. My favorite part of the whole scene is that was Lumen sneezing. Bless you, baby. He's in your jacket, Kaitlin. I hope you don't mind.
No, it's fine.
I hope your cats don't mind later on.
All animals are attracted to that jacket.
They love it. I don't know what it is about those coats. My favorite scene, though, was they're all sitting down, finally eating, and it's some sort of, like, chicken dish. It's red.
It looks like boneless buffalo wings.
It does, yeah. And so Yoonho gets a piece. He's like, let me try some. And he takes a bite. And Hayden's like, oh, it's good. Mm-hmm. And Yoonho is like, it's kind of salty. Isn't it salty? Mm-hmm. It's too salty. And Donnie's like, I think it's good.
And then I think Sojun's like, yeah, salt is salty. Like, I put salt on it.
It's so stupid, but I love that moment where he's just like, meh, it's salty.
Yeah. I love how they're, like, slightly throwing shade at each other the whole dinner.
Everyone's throwing shade at everyone, except for Donnie.
So after dinner, Sojun walks Donnie home, and Yoonho walks Hayden to the bus stop, or taxi stop, whatever. And Sojun asks Donnie if it would be easier if everyone knew that they lived together. But she says to him that telling everyone would be opening a whole can of worms, and that would be really uncomfortable, because then she would have to explain, like, how they know each other and all this stuff. And he says that he can understand that, and then Donnie finally offers him a Band-Aid and apologizes that she just remembered.
Sure, Jan.
So I guess we can kind of see, like, Donnie still cares about Sojun. She's just, like, got a lot of shit going on in her brain. And so Donnie finally gets home, and Yoonho is also outside in front of his house, and he asks if she had fun on her date and kind of teases her about wanting to get back at him and for not giving Sojun a Band-Aid. And then he looks at her, like, all lovingly and tells her sometimes there are days like today where it's hard to hold back. And she asks what he means, and then he leans in and kisses her. And it seems a little inappropriate, and it's totally out of the blue, but it's not like a gross, forceful kiss either. And he's like that. And then, bam, end of episode.
Finally.
Yeah. What did you think about that kiss?
When he talked about holding back, I knew that's what he was talking about.
Same.
But I wasn't expecting him to actually go in and kiss her.
Yeah.
I don't know how I would have acted in that situation if I was her.
I don't know.
Because she still doesn't know how she feels about him.
Right. I feel like there wasn't a lot to it.
Mm-hmm.
Which I guess is good.
It wasn't super romantic or anything.
No, because if you compare the first kiss, like, the first kiss in Descendants of the Sun,
Mm-hmm.
where I was like, yes, God!
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's so beautiful! I love these people! I'm so happy they finally kissed!
Mm-hmm.
And this one, it's just kind of like, oh, well, he kissed her. That's nice.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how I felt like, this is
what
kind
we
of
need
weird.
to see is her go in and kiss him.
Yes.
That's when it's like,
Then I'll be, yes, God!
Yeah, because we all know his feelings. We all know
Uh-huh.
how he feels about her.
Uh-huh.
But we don't know if she feels the same way.
Yeah.
So when and if that kiss happens, that's when it's going to be a huge deal. Very exciting.
Me too. But, yeah. So what'd you think of these episodes?
They were very good.
I know. I can't wait to keep watching more.
Also, they played a lot of that song that I told you reminds me of the Beatles.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a mix of Strawberry Fields and Yesterday.
Yeah.
And they played that like a bunch of times in these last 2 episodes, and I liked that.
Yeah, I like that song,
I enjoyed
too.
that song.
Are you gonna download it?
I'm going to download it.
Spotify.
I'm going to figure out how to sing it to the cats.
Yeah, there aren't a lot of, like, easily singable songs in this one.
Yeah, because there's not a lot that have English
That's
lines. Descendants has a lot of English lines
Mm-hmm.
that I was able to like transform into the cats' names and then kind of mumble the
Uh-huh.
Korean that I don't know. But this one's all Korean, so I need to
Yeah.
like phonetically learn it.
Yeah. Like how I do when I do my Korean karaoke. And I have to get, like, the Romanized.
Oh yeah, uh-huh.
And then I just shout, "What is love?" Drunk. Yeah. So I also enjoy the episodes. I am excited for more. I'm excited to see more hating Sojun action.
Yes.
And I'm, like, kind of hoping for a Sojun being like, I'm sorry, Donnie, I like hating or something like
or
that.
Or for her to see something where it looks like the two of them are kind of getting cozy,
Uh-huh.
flirting.
Yeah. I don't know. But should we talk about some fashion?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yes, God!
Not a ton in this episode, I feel, but I did like Gio's skirt when she's getting yelled at by Haydeen.
Mm-hmm.
I also liked the skirt Haydeen was wearing when she was yelling at Gio.
Gio's hair in the second episode where her
Or it's
hair's
like
down.
wavy.
Yeah, it kind of looks almost like crimped, but
Yeah.
like a little bit messier.
I think that's
her
kind
little
of
curls are very cute.
I think that's kind of a trend now. I've seen in a lot of like Korean beauty YouTuber
I
video
like it.
those like crimpy waves.
I want my hair long like that.
I'm
I wanna
trying
do
really
that.
hard to grow my hair out because I want beautiful K-drama.
It's so hard
hair.
to do.
I know. I have had a bob forever, basically. And basically, once my hair gets to my collarbone, I'm like, I can't take it anymore. And I cut it. So my hair now is probably the longest it's been. Definitely in like 2 years, probably.
Mm-hmm.
But even before that, like I typically always have short hair.
Yeah, I've been good about like letting it grow, but then
Mhm.
like a week ago I was like, I'm tired of my hair. I'm just gonna cut it off. And I was like, no, don't do that, you stupid. Don't you touch it. Don't give yourself bangs either. Fucking ruin your hair again.
I know. I've been thinking like, do I get the cute little
The
wispy
wispies.
bangs? But my skin is so fucking oily that they just get oily and it's so
I can't do
hard.
the stupid cowlick. Fucking dumb. I hate it. I hate it so much.
Why is
Hair
it so
issues.
hard? Why is it so hard to look like a K-drama actor?
We just need to become Moira from Schitt's Creek and have like 700 wigs that are named and
Yeah.
hanging on our wall.
I really want to get some wigs, but they're so expensive.
They are the good ones.
Mm-hmm. There's a coworker that I have who bought a wig in like a Black Friday deal, and we were teasing her because she was like, "No, it's only $40, and they said it's real human hair." And I was like, "That's not going to be human hair, like a $40 wig." And she got it, and she was like, "No, it's." She's like, "It's not a good wig."
You have to tell me after who that was.
But she said that it's a wig that she'll wear with a hat because she's like, the ends don't look bad. It's like
It's the roots and like the part that touches your scalp.
But I thought that was funny. I was like,
that's great.
Can't be buying a $40 wig.
Think it's turned into a Drag Race conversation right now. That one scene where it's like seasons ago. I think it's Alyssa's season. Yeah, when she's like, "If you can't get a wig, if you can't get a gig, how you gonna afford to buy a wig? What are you doing? Like, your hair is not that expensive. That's a cheap ass wig. You can't get a gig now." So fucking dumb.
So yeah. Get some G-Yule wig going.
Yes, please.
What else? Oh, so the one girl, I don't know what her name is. I don't know if they've even said her name.
They haven't. I know the girl you're talking about.
She has really cute clothes.
She's cute.
I love her. And so in, I think, episode 10, she's wearing this, like, all pink suit. It's, like, a blazer and a matching skirt, and then which is, like, a dusty rose color. And then she's wearing a turtleneck in almost the same color, but, like, a shade darker, maybe. I loved that look. It's so cute.
She's cute. We need more of her.
Definitely.
I also liked Donnie's, like, pink coat that she was wearing. It was in the last.
It's like a plaid thing. Yeah.
I like the collar of it, how it goes really high up on her neck and probably covers her mouth, too.
Don't kiss me.
Yeah. My all-time favorite, though, was that blazer denim half coat thing. I really liked that. I probably said it like 7 times during those scenes. Like, I like that.
Yeah.
I really like that jacket.
Jill was like, if you see a jacket like that in Korea, buy one for me.
Yeah, if your mom sees one, I'll Venmo her.
Okay.
It's so cute. Like, seriously. I'm a sucker for coats and jackets. And especially, like, the weirder, the better.
Yeah.
And that one's just really weird. I liked the denim cuffs that were, like, coming out of the blazer portion. And then in the back, when it was denim, it was higher. It was just really cool looking. I loved the shape.
She has cool clothes. I guess Yoonho's
thanks
bi
to
ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
I want more of her, too.
Yeah.
I'd like to see her again. I also liked Yoonho's houndstooth coat. But he has great coats, too. Sojun's kind of boring.
Yeah, he has a pretty, like, clean, basic look. Those ropes used on that old man weren't bad either.
Jesus.
Those look like nice, clean, brand new ropes.
They weren't, like, janky-ass ropes that have been stuck in a shed or something.
Yeah, they look like they were purchased specifically for tying this old man up. Never been used.
That poor guy. I need to figure out. We need to know more about him.
I know. We'll find out soon. Maybe the next episode. We'll
hopefully. Okay. I love you moment?
Sure.
I love you.
I love you. I will always love you.
I love you.
I really liked the moment where Yoonho asks Donnie to hold his hand while he's not feeling well. It's like very subtle and sweet, but like we said, it's kind of in Yoonho's like fever dream state, and he's like, I just want you to hold my hand. It's really sweet.
I like the moments, small, but the moments that are happening between Miss So and Mr. Bong. They're just like little moments, but it's these little pew 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 sparks. It's very tiny. But, like, they don't hate each other. Nothing bad happened between them. They just had a really bad disagreement and, like, misunderstanding, I think.
Yeah, and I think it's, like, years of, like, compounded.
And again, like we talked about, we don't know the extent of, like, how much she told him about her feelings and how much communication was being had prior to the divorce.
Yeah.
So I think there's still definitely something there.
There's
so like
room for improvement.
Yeah, I like seeing these little moments.
Yeah. And I'll give an honorable mention. I feel like it's kind of obvious, but the scene where Yoonho confronts Johnny and he tells her like that he's not going to pressure her and all that jazz. Like, he basically gives the perfect rejection to Haydeen and like the perfect like, I like you, but don't worry about it speech to Donnie. What a perfect guy.
He's great.
Buys makeup for her.
Again, it's the writer in him.
Yeah.
He knows how to talk.
I think it's interesting, too, how the drama's like, yeah, he's really good at talking to people because he's a writer. Like, because sometimes in shows you're like, what person would actually talk like that? But no, he's a writer, so he can say these very beautiful, dramatic...
It makes sense.
And I like that Donnie didn't interrupt him.
Mm-hmm.
Because now she's, like, on the same page with him. Mm-hmm. So, predictions?
I think we're coming to a point where Hayden's going to find out about Donnie living there. Mm-hmm. I think she's been close many episodes now.
Yes.
And it's going to happen either in these next 2 or, like, the next episode after, maybe 3 from now.
Yeah.
And I think we'll find out who that old man is.
Hopefully.
I think you're right in that he's probably not his actual dad.
The author?
Yeah.
You think he's the author?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't think he's his dad.
Because the guy says...
Dad. Yeah.
You're better than his actual children.
It's fucking confusing.
I know. And then I kind of worry that I'm misunderstanding the subtitles.
Yeah. Who knows? We might be.
But yeah. I'm excited to see more Sojun and Yoonho.
Yes.
I kind of feel like maybe Yoonho might try to nudge Sojun into liking Haerin more.
Agreed.
And kind of like try to put them together.
And you actually had that idea, like, kind of backwards. Like, that Haerin was going to try to push Donnie to Sojun.
Yes.
To get to
Yoonho.
I know, it's kind of swapped around.
Yes.
I like this way better.
I do too.
I think after seeing so many episodes, we're getting a better feel of who actually works better with one another. And
more of Haerin's personality, because back then I kind of thought, not that she would be vindictive, but kind of, like, manipulative, I guess. Like, now it just seems like she's not as bitchy as we kind of thought she was initially, maybe.
As Park Hoon tried to lead everyone to believe.
Damn.
Thanks a lot, Park Hoon.
I know. He, like, influenced my perception of her, too. Like I said, I'm easily influenced by confident men. God. Yeah. So, I'm excited for that. But yeah, I want to see more Yoonho Sojun, because I like them together. I like seeing them be sassy with each other. It's fun. It's funny. And I really want Donnie to get out of her funk. I want her to power pose again.
Yeah, I want her to figure it out.
It seems.
I think she's very nervous. Because this is a dude she's known since she was a kid.
Also, she has nowhere else to go. Like,
so even if she doesn't like him, like, she's still living there.
Yeah. So, that's a thing. But she's doing well at work, so that's good. All right. So, let us know what your predictions are.
Yes, please.
You can tweet us at OKDramaPod. Talk to us on Instagram at OKDramaPodcast.
Also, quick shout out to an Instagram poster. People never post on our Instagram.
Oh,
somebody did. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Call of honesty. Thank you. I'm enjoying reading your Instagram comments and responding to them. And hearing your thoughts instead of just mine and Kaitlin's.
Yeah, we also got some Twitter interactions too. I want to talk to everyone about K-dramas, because Jill is basically the only other person in my life who I can talk to about K-dramas. So,
and I don't watch them all like you do.
Yes,
so
guys,
that's the problem.
Guys, touch your heart. Am I right? Crazy.
That's the one you want me to see, right?
Yes. Okay. First, I want you to watch Goblin over your spring break.
Okay.
I've already been...
probably do both of them.
Yeah. I've been rewatching it on a website that I will tell you later, because it may or may not be legit. So you need to watch that one first so that you can fully appreciate what's going on in Touch Your Heart.
Gotcha.
They are in no way related to each other, other than that they have the same actors. In both. But yeah. So yeah, talk to us on our Instagram, on Twitter, and you can also talk to us on Facebook. We don't go there very much, but it's a place.
Post there more, and then maybe we will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Email us some long form questions, fan fiction,
still waiting on fan fiction.
Let me know.
Fan fiction for this series, I'd like to see some fanfic about maybe Miss Go.
Oh my god. Yes.
And, like, the side of her, like, that we got the tiniest glimpse of, but we haven't actually seen more of.
I want to see more of, like, Miss Go's one-night stands with young dudes that she, like,
Yes.
stole away from girlfriends.
Yes. I want some of that, but, like, don't be, like, filthy.
No.
We don't want filth here. This is a PG podcast.
PG-13. Sometimes I say the F word too much. So.
Yeah. Send us stuff. Interesting reads.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we're so excited to keep watching. Let us know other dramas you're watching. I'm looking forward to watching The Crowned Clown when all this is over, because I can't watch too many at once.
That's a really funny name.
I know. I had to avoid spoilers on Twitter because it just ended.
That's so hard.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of spoilers for this show on Twitter. I just held them in my heart. So.
I'm so glad I'm not on Twitter.
Yeah.
I don't do the Twitter.
It's good that I don't really care about spoilers.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. So
anyway.
Don't spoil anything for us.
No, please don't.
Especially on Instagram, because that's where Jill is mostly.
Yes.
But yeah, so until next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay,